China traditionally has always had more men than women, and so some limited subset of men have always failed to marry. So while marriage is near universal for women, for men who fail to marry, there's this term which is bare branches, which is family trees, the branch of the family tree which does not extend. So this is referring to these men who fail to marry, who are, forced. This has kind of always been low status in China, but in the coming years, this is going to be a much more common phenomenon. What we're looking at is 20 million bare branches, and these men who fail to marry are going to be the men who are low education and are living in poorer parts of the country. And this is going to be a very problematic scenario where you have bare branches, these men who don't have children to take care of them, and they don't have the state to take care of them, and people are justifiably concerned about what this means for China in the coming decades. When we were born onto this planet, there was a stable equilibrium, and a sex ratio that's roughly equal for males and females allows for most people to have a reasonable chance of finding a partner. And once you start gaming this situation, and so a technology like sex-selective abortion puts humanity in this dangerous predicament that if you exploit this, you can have unforeseen consequences. And I think that people didn't really think about what they were doing, and everybody thinks, well, my son will get married and it won't be a problem. And in fact, the places which have the highest sex ratios are not necessarily the places that they're going to have imbalances in the marriage market. Specifically, areas of southern China, which have been traditionally wealthy, have had high son preference, high sex ratios, partly related to wanting to give dynastic wealth to your progeny. Those are the places where people are engaging sex-selective abortion. And what we see is those are not the places where we're going to see an imbalance in the marriage market. Chinese marriage markets, historically, women have 99.8% marriage rates in the census, whereas men, it's about 95%. And perhaps unsurprisingly, the men who fail to get married are those who have less education and less wealth and less status. And so what we have is this situation in which people are engaging in sex-selective abortion with the knowledge that it may not be their children who are going to fail to find a spouse. And so what you have is this demographic subsidy of sorts in which, and this is even part of Chinese culture, is a saying, women are born in the hills and they live in the plains. The hills are less wealthy than plains, which are easier to cultivate. And so it's always been true that Chinese women are the beneficiaries, ironically, of this behavior, that they're able to marry up in status.